Hello and welcome to Toast Talk 95, the podcast of Strict 95, where we take you to meet the people behind Toastmasters in District 95. Today, we're very fortunate to have Paul Salazar. He and I met at the District 95 conference this year in May, and it was a fantastic experience. He hosted a portion of the event, the gala dinner, and he did a workshop where I learned a lot of my mental knots straightened out. And I really appreciated that he has taken time out to meet with us. Hi, Paul. How are you?
Good afternoon. Doing great. Glad to be a part of the program. Looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you. So let me tell you a little bit about Toast Talk. So as I said, that we take people behind the scenes. Now today we're going to take people behind the volunteer scene. That why people volunteer, what's been your experience. We talk about something about you. We talk about the huge district that we have in District 95 because there's 7 countries: Denmark, Faroe Islands, Germany, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, and some of the countries are not yet active. So we'll talk about that as well. So, first things first. So, where are you currently living?
I live in Munich, in Germany. I'm an American, born and raised in California, but I moved to Germany and have been living here full time for over 8 years.
Wow, that's fantastic. So you've been member of the Munich Media Speakers Toastmasters from the beginning. If you can tell us about your journey, how long have you been a Toastmaster member? How did you come across Toastmasters?
I joined Toastmasters 35 years ago in
Wow.
California when I was working at my first job, and there was a Toastmaster club that would meet at lunch, and I was invited by someone to come and check it out. And first time I ever went, it was really unusual, and I thought to myself, does this somehow work? I was a little baffled by the whole thing. To be honest, I was skeptical. But I went back, and I went back a third time, and before you knew it, I was into my competent Toastmasters program, and I went right through all that. And what I found was that it was a chance for me to try out new things, to take some risks with a very helpful and very, very giving group. And for example, one thing I actually never felt comfortable with was humorous speaking.
Mhm.
And then along came a speech contest, and I raised my hand and said, I want to give a humorous speech because that's the thing I don't know how to do. I wish to practice. And I can tell you, I was so amazed when I started delivering my speech that people really laughed. And it was such a positive kind of feedback that it really propelled me in my journey and reminded me that the process of developing public speaking skills is a journey and it comes in stages and it's multifaceted. And so I embraced the idea of Toastmasters and was in a club first in Northern California where I was working. And then a few years later, when I moved to Southern California, I joined a different one. And once again, joined the competitions because that was a great way to really boost my skill and get great feedback and meet people in other clubs. So my journey at the beginning was very rewarding, and I came from a place where I wasn't comfortable in front of a crowd, so it radically changed my ability to present and speak, which I've developed further all my life. But then
That's
when I
amazing.
got to Munich 8 years ago, 8.5 years ago, I'm joining the Munich Media Speakers. The media speakers hold most of their meetings in German language. And as an expat, I wanted to improve my German language. I've had a chance to really develop my capacity to both speak professionally and thoughtfully with good grammar in German language in front of a group of people. And that is super difficult switching languages. So for me, I'm also grateful for the fact that in the Munich Media Speakers, it's been a terrific journey together and a good group of people. But let me add one thing.
Mhm.
The Munich Media Speakers, every third month, we have one meeting fully in English. And as a native English speaker, that's my chance to give back. I can take on grammarian roles. I can talk more about accounting and do general evaluator or regular evaluations or even be the Toastmaster. And I have a chance in my native language to provide ways that I can help and that I can give useful feedback in a friendly way, give
Mhm.
grammatical help, tips and help. And I like that. I like the fact that I have, just because of where I come from, something special that I can offer.
That is fantastic, and it resonates with me because wherever most of the places you go, you'll find a Toastmasters club where you can connect with people who have the same vision, mission, and have the same understanding. You don't have to like It's like you're part of a crowd, and that crowd may change faces, but the objectives are similar and their goals are similar. We all gather to improve ourselves, volunteering our money, time, energy. We're improving ourselves. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, well, whenever I
So
meet, whenever I'm sometimes a little tired, I don't know if I want to go to the meeting that night. I just remind myself that every time I go, I leave a happier person. I've learned something new. I've had a good time. I've been in community with some people that I wish to spend time with. That, as you said, goal-oriented people are people that I feel close to, and I
yes.
wish to engage and be supportive of their journeys while they're supporting my journey.
Yes, that's exactly true. The one thing that I felt really touched by was when someone in our club in Oslo Toastmasters said that this is the highlight of the week for her. And I was like, wow. Because someone it's like, oh, I may come, I may not come. This may be helpful to me. This may not be helpful to me. Today I'm not in the mood or whatever. But when she said that, it really hit home because for someone, this can be the best time, best 2 hours that she spent in a week. So contributing to that, even positively or negatively, or however, giving your speeches, because sometimes the jokes don't sit. Paul, sometimes the jokes are die a cultural death, or they're translated wrong, or they just don't connect, especially when we have so many different background people sitting in front of you. So, and something that you touched upon, I want you to just highlight that you want to give back as a volunteer organization. What would you say to people who say that, we want more Toastmasters to do more, but as a volunteer, I feel, and tell me if you agree with it, the concept is that we have to contribute and we do get back when we're listening, when we're participating in the events, because I saw you participate so much. You did a workshop, you did the gala dinner, you were always there, you were always helping people, and you're always available figuring things out. And I think a few of the people have actually reached out to you, figure things out for their businesses. So you've done so much. So what's your message for people who are trying to understand this voluntary element of Toastmasters?
uh, I always remind everyone, especially when they first come to a meeting as a guest or as a friend of mine I invite, it's an active club. If you want to grow as a person and you want to grow in your skill, you have to just raise your hand and jump in. If you're passive, it's like reading a book. You can read all the books you want on public speaking. It's not going to make you a better public speaker. The only way you're going to become a better public speaker is by doing it. And in the
Yes.
club, that's where you can do it. However, it's not just about me giving my prepared speeches. Every time I show up at the meeting, if I don't have a prepared speech that I'm giving that night, I'll sign up for something in advance. Or quite frankly, if I don't know if I'm going to make the meeting and I don't sign up in advance, when I get there, I'll simply say, what's left to do? Give me a job. Let me have something I can do. Because sometimes those lesser jobs, the counter or the timer, no one's filled those roles yet. And I'm happy to step in and do that because I recognize that it takes an army. It takes a whole group of people to create a Toastmaster meeting. And the most successful meeting is when everyone is contributing. And by the time every voice has been heard at least once, that's the best kind of outcome. So I don't need to give a speech every time. Far from it. I'm very happy to be on the sidelines, so to speak. But my contribution is in a smaller way, but nonetheless, even the smallest role, I'll just go back to timer. I always think of that or an counter. We also have in our club something called the ha counter. We count the laughs. We want to know, were we funny tonight? Did we make people smile or chuckle or laugh out loud? And
Wow.
when I'm giving my 2-minute report, that's my moment. I'm going to give helpful feedback. I want to share with everyone how I, as an observer of this special evening, noted and felt about your ahs, your ha's, your timing, whatever the case may be. So I think that all of us owe it to ourselves. Because Toastmasters, there's you can say giving and taking, but I don't like that word. I'd rather say it's giving and receiving because by being at a Toastmasters meeting, no matter what role you do, you're receiving some feedback eventually,
Very
and
true.
you're also contributing. You're giving, and I want everyone to always have this sense of the growth happens, the learning happens because you give and you receive. In fact, quite frankly, When I tell people that Toastmasters is an active club, I'll also say to them, that's part one. But part two is that Toastmasters has something called the second half of the meeting. That second half is where we give all the feedback, the
Hmm.
subjective and objective feedback. I tell people all the time, without that piece of the meeting, we would just be another boring speech club.
Yeah.
A big difference. The most important thing is that we take the time and effort with a very deliberate process that's been honed over decades to give clear, solid feedback across a variety of elements. And it works. That's the great thing. After being in this world over 35 years and knowing that this organization is a 100-year-old institution reminds all of us that the system that we all live with, the process we follow, is not happenstance. It's not created because someone wrote it down and said, do it this way. We do
Yeah.
it this way because it works. And it really
Yes.
creates leaders and it creates great communicators, which I wish to be. But while doing that, the system is structured in a way that it ensures that all of us both are giving while we're receiving. That's important.
Yeah. I think you've hit the nail on the head that we've got to understand that we are receiving automatically as soon as we step in. Every part of the meeting is so important and is well they have over the 100 years they have catered to all the needs that when a person comes in and you recognize that they're new, you've got to welcome them regardless whether it's it's in that meeting or anywhere. That should be common, but it's not common. So we receive the person and the person receives, oh yeah, if we do a good job at it. Sometimes we kind of like miss out on those little small little things. You said that about our counter and the timer, and yes, people may look at, oh, this is an easy job, it's a small job, but it has such a big contribution. Recently, I'll tell you, I've been going in and I've been volunteering. When they ask me, would you like to be in XYZ role or anything, I'm like, no, I want to be the timer. And it kind of became a joke that for some reason, Shahrukh is just trying to be the timer because I realized that I have to be alert. And that's what I wanted to do when I'm working on my listening skills and observation skills. When you have to give feedback, you're observing, you're listening, and that's a different thing. The different roles that you have in Toastmasters and which you volunteer to do help you in some sort of a skill.
That's right. That's right. While you're giving, you are receiving. It works together.
Yes,
That is
yes,
that is really truly the distinction that I always draw, that we are a club that is built not just around giving speeches, but about evaluating and providing feedback. And I can just say from years and years of experience now that most of the time at the end of the meeting when we invite the guests back on stage to say, how did it go tonight? It's almost universal that they're going to say one of the most interesting parts is the way you give feedback, and that we do this in a thoughtful, critical way. We're giving critical feedback, we're doing it in a thoughtful way, and we're doing it with only one intention: to help each other become better speakers. That's it. That's the point.
that is true. And again, about the receiving bit, when we go there, we're receiving the feedback. It helps us. Sometimes it's kind of funny because half of feedback would say, "Oh, you moved a lot on stage, which was distracting," or and somebody would, and the other half would say, "You moved really well. It connected with the energy that you had." But that just shows that you've got to find a middle ground. That doesn't mean that, and one has to think of everyone in the room as mirrors. That's what I normally say, that this is what they saw. They may I may agree with it or disagree with it, but this is what they saw. If they said you've got to work on vocal variety, then maybe, and out of one person out of 20 people said that you need to work on vocal variety, and all the others may have, but that one person may have seen some one little bit that changes everything.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give people who are thinking of joining Toastmasters?
The
Because
most
you've
important thing
35
is
years.
yeah, well, you're going to be joining a group of people, as you mentioned earlier, who are goal oriented, who are motivated, who generally are there with some kind of personal or professional objective. If you're going to be in that group, you too have to decide, what is my intention? What am I trying to
Right.
achieve? And then you want to set yourself goals. And look, the system is designed to help you to achieve your goals. So you have to be clear to yourself that you're going to commit, that you're not just going to show up for one meeting every 3 months, but that you're going to be a regular participant. And you're going to automatically flow into this giving and receiving mode. It will just happen naturally, but you have to decide you're going to go. Showing up is half the battle, but once you're in the room, the rest takes care of itself. And that's my advice. My advice is that, and then once you're there, of course, to raise your hand from time to time and say, yeah, I can do this thing. What I decided several years ago in the club is we needed to add a little variety, a little bit of change, and I've offered up multiple workshops. Like I'm a business professional. I'm an executive at a software company, and I have a lot of experience in that. So I've occasionally offered up and conducted workshops. And as you saw with the workshop I did at the District 95 conference, I try to bring those skills in a way in which everyone can consume them. And by the way, that's, I think, a Toastmaster talent. That's something that I've honed over many, many years of being in this organization, is learning how to take a complex set of ideas and how to synthesize and simplify. You have to. We all know you can't walk out of a room in a speech with 15 topic points and cover them all off. It's just too much for everyone to take away. So I've learned how to take these ideas and simplify, 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 so that people can come away with some new insights, as you did as well. And I'm proud of that. But it's a Toastmaster skill. I would give credit to nothing else but Toastmasters. In fact, the other thing, as you saw at the conference, is I had a chance to be the honor, really, of being on the stage co-hosting with our world champion of public speaking, Jocelyn. And am I a world champion of public speaking? No. Do I deserve to be on stage next to her? No, except that I'm a pretty good host on a stage. I can do that reasonably well. And where did I learn that? From Toastmasters. So I characterize that I have developed certain skills over the years, and those are the ones where I'm especially pleased to raise my hand and say, yeah, I'll do a workshop. Sure, I'll get up on stage and help moderate. We can have a fun evening together. I can contribute that. I can give that because of what I've received as a Toastmaster. And that's my, let's just say, taking it to the next level, kind of taking this idea of contributing or giving back to the places and in the ways in which I know I have some very special skills that I've learned over many, many years because of my participation in the club.
That is, it's when you're speaking, I get so involved. I learned so much from you, Paul. I mean, it's a lot of fun. While you were talking about the conference, I was literally over there in that room where you were giving us the questions and we were writing the answers and you were facilitating, and it does help a lot. And it's amazing that you're giving all the credit or most of the credit to Toastmasters, and you've learned all of those skills. And I would encourage everybody to join Toastmasters and learn how much it has helped. Just talk to people, reach out to different events. If you are ever in Munich, you can reach Paul. You can, if you're ever in any of the clubs in Toastmasters world, you can just reach out to people, and if they have the answer, they'll give you the answer. If they don't, they will find the answer for you. They'll find someone who can help you. That's for sure. Thank you very much, Paul, for today. I wish that we had more time. I hope we can take more time out next time and maybe do a little bit of a workshop with where there are more people, so it's more interactive, because I feel like, but it's a good thing. I recently learned this, that sometimes we should leave a few questions unanswered. Gets people coming back.
All
So
there. Glad to be a part of the program, Shahrukh. And tonight, to this afternoon, it was a real pleasure both talking with you, but also thank you for the opportunity to share some of my own experiences. It's a real pleasure to be a part of this great institution.
thank you very much. And for everyone who's watching, please don't forget to share this podcast with others. Paul's words are very valuable. We want more people to learn about the journey of Toastmasters, become a part of it. And as the slogan goes, that do not forget to reach for your dreams. Thank you very much. Goodbye.